Well, we'll continue right away, Mark, but thank you. Muyiwa Sobo, a legal practitioner, joins us next. Thank you for coming on today. Well, you had the views of Mr. Daniel Boala there, but first of all, let's take a look at the powers of the president to appoint the EFCC chair and that of the Senate. Could you explain to us, because there are those who have argued that the power of the president to appoint the EFCC chair is not in an absolute capacity, and the fact that he sent it to the Senate means he understands that. And then another school of thought which also think that, well, since the Senate did not confirm Mr. Magu as substantive EFCC chair, he might as well keep acting, and that the powers lie with the president. What do you think?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me again, and good morning. There's no power that is absolute in a democracy. That's why they call it democracy. That's how you have different arms of government to oversee and perform oversight responsibility over each other. The judiciary, the legislature, and the presidency. Yes, the president has the power to appoint Magu, but the Constitution on which this democracy is based provides that that position or other laws, that position will be confirmed by the Senate. Let's take a step back. Why will that provision be there? It's because the Senate is recognized as an institution that must oversee the executive, that must look at what the executive is doing and confirm and try to, you know how it works. Because I listened to Mr. Boala, and I agree with him on some points, and I disagree with him on so many points. Take a step back. The Senate has a job to do. If the DSS comes up with a report that questions the integrity of an appointee, what do you expect the Senate to do? Ignore that report and go, well, look, we're just going to confirm this person in spite of that report.
But, you know, Parliament Button, there are those who have also said, in the first instance, they don't see how the DSS have business sending a report, a security report, to the Senate, that the DSS's responsibility, or in this case, is to send their report to the president.
Great point. But I sat on this chair when the DSS went after the judges. And I said at that time, I warned that we are going on a, what they call a slippery slope. That, you know, if at that point, at that time, we all hailed the DSS. I said DSS was doing a good job. They went after the judges, they raided their homes and so on and so forth. And they come up with this report. How then, is it not hypocritical of us now to now say, oh, that report's supposed to go to the president alone? And even if it goes to the president alone, the presidency this is a public office. The Senate can still request for that report. Because on what is it, on what will the Senate base its assessment of Magu? Magu was going for a job interview. Imagine yourself going for a job interview. I mean, the person trying to hire you will look at your background, everything, but don't even apply that to the Senate. The Senate has a prerogative, the legislative prerogative. The Senate can deny Magu on any grounds it sees fit. Let's separate the Senate from the senators now, because I know a lot of people.
But Mr. Bola did not separate it.
Yeah.
In fact, he says, I think he referred to their standing rule about if any senator feels he's got any interest whatsoever in a particular matter, he's duty bound to disclose it. He also suggests that the senators have got questions to answer, and so you didn't expect them to clear Magu based on that premise.
Okay, let's look at that. And I've read a lot about this. People are calling to question the characters of some senators. Fine, you can do that. But look at the Senate as a body that has a job to do. Now, if you have senators who are conflicted because they have something, some interest in what happened to Magu, I don't know. I mean, nobody has said anything about it. Even if they're under investigation, they are still sitting down there as representatives of the people, and they have a job to perform. And that is clear to me. So if we have issues with individual senators, let's wait to 2019. We're going to have an opportunity to kick them out of there if we don't like them. But to vilify the whole Senate as an institution because Magu was rejected, that's why I'm a little bit concerned, because we can't collectively cut off our nose and to spite our face. When it comes to democracy, we have to recognize that these institutions are there for a reason. If Magu's integrity was questioned, that's the basis for the Senate to reject him. Further, he appeared before them. He was given an opportunity to explain this away. And I listened to Mr. Boala when he said, well,
he said he was not prepared.
He was not prepared. I mean, that by itself disqualifies him. If you are going in front of a Senate and you knew you are going to be faced with a question and you are telling me you are not prepared, then you are not qualified to occupy that position.
Boala himself also said that he wasn't given rights to fair hearing. Let's look at some of the issues in this second damning, the Senate calls it the more damning report, with 12 documents to go with that. One to do with Magu's relationship with Muhammad Umar, who is currently undergoing some illicit possession of firearms and money laundering charges against him, and another one, severe reprimand by the police affairs official document of EFCC found in the house of Magu. Mm-hmm. In all this, was he given fair rights to be heard again? How can taking papers to your home to work on them as a CEO of a company puts you on the wrong side of the law?
Well, I don't think he's on the wrong side of the law. What we have to understand again is the Senate has a prerogative. They can act in a which way in that function, the oversight function. If the report says, you can't discount whatever the DSS says because it's DSS, all right? If it says he's in a relationship with Muhammad,
with the head of DSS?
Yes, was kind of conflicting, and it puts him under a very under a bad light. Yes, the Senate will have the right to look at that. If documents are found at that person's house, which supposed to be secret documents or some sort, and it's traced back to Magu, I mean, come on. You will not expect the Senate to kind of disregard that. It goes to his character. It goes to his ability to perform that job. Whether or not he's been successful in going after corrupt officials should be separated from that. Now, and if I listen to Mr. Boala about his, he's been successful at that position and so on and so forth. So what? He's been successful. Think about it. If you are going after corrupt officials and you are being found wanting the same level, what does that do to his ability to continue in that position? And we have to look at that.
All right. Well, what would you say to those who are of the opinion that first there was a committee or a panel, it was set up by the president to look into the initial matter that was raised by the Senate, headed by the AGF. That was done. We still haven't seen that report. The Senate, many people are also wondering what the content of that report is. We understand it may have been submitted to the president. But they also argue, why will there be a second 7-page letter attached with documents submitted to the AGF? Isn't that all part of a plan to ensure he doesn't get confirmed?
Well, if there's a plan to do that, then you have to now rope this DSS into that plan. And
no, we're just looking at it.
And the reason that we're speculative now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the DSS. I don't know what the DSS saw. I don't know what was presented to them. I don't know how they arrived at their conclusion. We don't know the process of investigation. But the fact that you have two reports actually does not discredit the report. I mean, they could have reports for emphasis purposes. They can do that. And again, the Senate may not pay any attention to it. But if you decide to pay attention to it...
So what, the second report?
Yes. If you pay attention to it, we cannot discredit the Senate for doing so.
That's assuming the president represents him to the Senate again.
Exactly. It was the president's DSS. It's under the president. It was the president that actually appointed Magu. Under the same president, you have reports coming against the presidential appointee, and we are sitting down second-guessing this. I think it's kind of unfair to actually sit down and second-guess the Senate in that regard. If the president wants Magu confirmed, maybe the DSS should not have sent the report to the Senate.
Let me further hypothesize.
That has happened now, and the elements in this report report that that is coming in the second time also includes allegations against Magu himself of putting one Mr. Lawson, who was also investigated and found to have been part of a looting affair, also linked to the former Petroleum Minister Desiani Alison Madueke, and he returned $94.5 million of that, which was part of his part of the share to the EFCC. How will it be justified that Magu wasn't fighting corruption at this time when he's able to get that refund back to the government coffers?
Look, I don't think anyone is questioning whether Magu is fighting corruption or not.